Hello, Mike. How are you doing?
Doing great, Dennis. Thanks for having me.
Okay, beautiful. Mike, I would like to start this interview by sharing your professional journey and how you became the director of EB-5 sales at LCP Group.
Absolutely. So I actually have quite an international background in my history. So after graduating from the University of Michigan, I moved to China where I lived for 4 years. I became business proficient in Mandarin when I was living there. And my last year while living in Beijing, the capital of China, I worked for a commercial real estate company with headquarters in New York called Cushman Wakefield, but they have satellite offices all over the world. So that was my first foray into real estate. And then when I came back to New York, I decided to continue in that pursuit of the real estate career. And over the last 10 plus years, I've been in real estate in New York. In terms of brokerage, I built a property management company that helped international investors who have portfolio properties in the US. Mm-hmm. They need someone local to oversee those properties and make that investment profitable. And after that, I actually had my first chance to get involved in EB-5. So I worked for a large real estate developer in New York City, some of the most iconic projects around Manhattan and some in Brooklyn as well. And I expanded the market share outside of China because in 2017, the China market was dissipating pretty rapidly. So I opened up the India, Mexico, Vietnam, South Korean markets to this company. And during COVID, EB-5 kind of took a little hiatus. So I went back into traditional real estate development. But when I heard EB-5 was back, I reached out to an immigration attorney friend of mine, and he was close with the LCP Group. So he gave me an introduction to my now supervisor, Rich Marquardt, and we hit it off. I fell in love with the company, the people that make up this team. And so since the beginning of this year, in January, I started with LCP, and I've been raising EB-5 capital for them since.
That's really impressive. You have a very, very rich experience in real estate and in EB-5. That's amazing. And well, I know LCP Group also for many years. And as far as I know, the LCP Group is a 50 years old company. So what do you believe has been the key for the LCP longevity and success in real estate investments?
Right. So while LCP has been in the EB-5 industry for over a decade, LCP, the parent company, has been around for 50 years, founded by Robert Roskin. And I think what Robert was working on in the 1970s still translates to today in terms of who he is, what he looks for, and the team that he's built around him. And so that team is crucial. Yeah. We have a close-knit group of like-minded teammates. We all help each other whenever necessary. We endeavor to find, we have that conservative approach to all projects. We want to make sure that we look at every aspect of a new opportunity, the location, the competition, the team that's going with this new project, what's their experience, and the relationships. Your name is crucial in this business, and LCP has been able to get to where it has over those 50 years, and especially with EB-5 over the last 10, just because of the close bonds that we've had with not only our partners, such as yourself, but with the investors themselves.
Okay, it makes sense. But as far as I know, LCP Group is not the company that working in EB-5 for the whole period of existence. So it's from 50 years, they doing EB-5 almost maybe more than 10 years, right? What was the main activity of LCP Group before the EB-5? What they did mainly?
Yeah, so LCP, the core business, is as an investment and asset management of primarily the hospitality industry, hotels around the country.
In New York?
All over. New York, Florida, California, we're nationwide.
Okay.
And so that's one vertical, but multiple asset classes are what we look for.
Okay.
So, for example, recently we've gotten involved in the daycare center, and we've acquired a number of these daycare schools around the country, some of the biggest names in the daycare industry. And even more recently, we've gotten involved in acquiring golf courses. You've had in the 1980s, they were constructing these golf courses all over the country. Then there was a dip in demand in the 90s into the 2000s. So there's many opportunities out there in the golf industry where we just figured out, we looked at the numbers, did the analysis and the underwriting, and we figured this is a great opportunity.
Okay.
But one other thing I want to add is Robert, over the 50 years, he was able to build a very large industrial and commercial REIT, real estate investment trust, that actually IPO'd on the New York Stock Exchange. And this was actually a company that he ended up developing or creating called Lexington Property Trust. Mm-hmm. But he also was international. He IPO'd another company on the Tokyo Stock Exchange. So he's, over the last 50 years, not only been global, but he's seen the ups and downs in every single real estate cycle.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. Mike, thanks a lot for the introduction. The today interview I would like to dedicate to two main spheres of activity. Definitely, I would like to talk about private equity, that opportunities that your company have. But what is most important for me is to highlight your EB-5 activity on the market, because I believe this your company is one of the unique companies in the United States because of the approach of the model you're using for EB-5 project. So can you please tell us, but before we start talking about the EB-5 and your main activity, for those who are known with EB-5 program, can you please just in few words tell what is EB-5?
Sure. So EB-5 has been around for over 30 years. What it aims to do on the U.S. front is to stimulate the economy by hiring and employing the local workforce. And the way the U.S. government is able to do this without increasing tax dollars for U.S. citizens is for foreign investment into the country. And they figured what opportunity they could actually create by having so many individuals who want to come to the United States, obtain a green card for themselves and family members, and also help the U.S. economy. So it's a win-win situation. So with an EB-5 investment, you basically help construct a new real estate project. It could be commercial, multifamily. It could be an urban setting, a rural setting, and it could actually be infrastructure. But at the end of the day, after X amount of time, you can receive a green card, move to the United States, and basically live wherever you want, work wherever you want, and your children can get an education in the United States as well.
Okay. Is it, if somebody decided to invest through EB-5 program and get a green card with LCP Group, which countries, I mean, what citizens can apply for EB-5 program, and especially for your company? Do you accept all investors, or you have some kind of exclusions?
LCP has no exclusions. We don't see borders. We have investors from over 30 countries, from every single continent. The only continent we don't have an investor from is Antarctica. But if there were people living there, I'm sure we would have one from Antarctica as well. But in terms of USCIS, the U.S. government, and what they see in terms of certain citizens from certain countries, that's something that LCP does not really, well, we adhere to those principles, but we don't really see any issue from helping out hardworking family whose source of funds is coming from a legal source, and making sure that their American dream come true. Okay, very interesting. Mike, you know that I'm in EB-5 industry for almost 12 years. I have also a very big experience in this program. And I know a lot of regional centers in the United States. I know a lot of companies that do EB-5 for many years. But and that is why I also communicate with different immigration attorneys. I know a lot of immigration law firms. And that is why, to be honest, I know that EB-5 program is a very risky program, because there is a lot of
ways to lose the money and a lot of ways to lose the green card during this process. And one of the key things from my point of view is that, as I mentioned just a few words ago, I said that your company is very unique. And I want to explain why, because I want you to explain why your company is unique, why the EB-5 process is quite secured if somebody decides to invest, to use EB-5 program with your company. Can you explain why?
Absolutely. So I mentioned it before, we have over a decade of experience in the EB-5 industry. We've raised over $550 million from over 1,100 investors, again, from over 30 countries. And we've seen different kinds of projects built, multifamily, hotel, and we understand the ins and outs of the industry. Again, Robert and the team, we've been in real estate investment and real estate asset management for decades. And so when we look at a project, we, again, are conservative. We want to make sure that it's going to be successful, not only for ourselves, but for everyone who we bring into this project. And so looking at that team, the developer, who's the general contractor, what have they done? Is there a guaranteed maximum price, the GMP, so we know the cost won't go above and beyond what we tell everyone, this is the cost, this is what we're planning on selling this project for. And so looking at all those factors is essential to ensuring that an EB-5 project in the end not only will be built, but we'll be able to get that EB-5 loan repaid and then in due time repay our investors. And then when it comes to the unique aspects of LCP, we've actually had one of the most, if not the most, highest returns in the industry.
Yeah.
2019.
It's really amazing. I want you to mention this.
Yeah, you were part of this back in 2019, helping raise $15 million from 30 EB-5 investors. It was $500,000 before the 2022 Reform and Integrity Act. And at that time, we were building a hotel in Melbourne, Florida. It was a common equity deal, which was unique at the time. A lot of people were skeptical. All they've heard is, all they heard was about the loan structure. It's either going to be a mezzanine loan, potentially a senior loan, but common equity was unfounded. But there were people out there who thought, I'm going to invest $500,000. I want some financial incentive. And the hotel was built through COVID without any cost overruns, without any long delays. And the project was sold in 2022. And these EB-5 investors, who actually are still today potentially going through the EB-5 process to obtain their green card, so they can't get their $500,000 returned yet, they've actually gotten their distribution of that common equity portion after selling that hotel. So it was a $500,000 investment, and they received $250,000 as a return.
Unbelievable.
50% return was unheard of before.
Yeah. Exactly.
And so, of course, these investors were very happy. And many of those investors actually used that $250,000 windfall, that return, and invested again with LCP in a non-EB-5 manner. So they were just in love with the fact that LCP was able to introduce them to such a successful project. They wanted to continue that, and they didn't know what else to do with that capital. They didn't want to keep it in the bank. And so they invested with LCP again. And so we actually have one project today that is following with that formula. And we have a common equity opportunity, which again is unique in today's market.
Okay. Yeah, the Melby deal is really something amazing, because when I mentioned this deal to other companies that deal in EB-5 industry, that work in EB-5 industry, they said that it's not possible. But it was a fact. Yeah. And even few of my investors got their distribution from your company, and they couldn't believe that using EB-5 they can get so much money. It's like a private equity plus a green card. It's amazing.
Most people were receiving maybe $30,000 as a return after 5 years,
right.
6 years,
right,
whatever it was. And your clients and LCP's investors were getting $250,000.
Yeah,
it's incomparable.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with you. But Mike, I know that such kind of opportunities is very rare on the market.
Yes.
But what for me is very important is to try to explain to potential investors why the investment firm like your company or some kind of maybe developers that does EB-5 as well, they have a pretty different structure, a pretty different model of raising capital. And what I want to say is that almost all EB-5 deals go through the regional centers. And usually regional centers do not invest anything into the project they raise money for. When we talk about LCP Group, it's absolutely different. As far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong, as far as I know, all deals that you choose for EB-5 projects, you also, the company, the LCP Group also invests own money into these projects, right?
Yeah, we have aligned interests with our investors. And just to take our current offerings as an example, so one project is right outside of Washington, D.C., called Fair Lakes. It's located in Fairfax, Virginia, one of the wealthiest counties in the country. And with this project, LCP has already put in many millions of dollars, which is unheard of in EB-5. And so we do have that motivation to get the right team,
right? Not
just in terms of the financing team, but the construction developer who we're going to partner with. And we actually have a partner that we've worked on a number of deals with, Urban Atlantic, and they have one of the top general contractors to make sure this project is completed. So we have many millions of dollars in that project. And then and that's our unique opportunity, our common equity opportunity that I mentioned. But then we have our most recent project. It's called the Moxie Hotel that we're building in Atlanta, Georgia. The Moxie is a brand under the Marriott banner. And we've bridged the senior loan from LCP. And what that means is we're able to start construction, which began this summer, July. And so we put forth $33.5 million into this project.
Wow.
Already. And then what we're going to do... How big
is the project?
So total capitalization is almost $62 million.
So you've almost invested more than 50% of the money into the deal.
Correct. So as the senior loan, and then EB-5 investors, when they choose this project, they're going to be replacing that bridged loan. So every $800,000 that we get from an EB-5 investor, they will now effectively be the bank. They'll be the senior loan. So that's the first position. That's if you want to say, most secure opportunity in terms of the capital stack. Who gets repaid first? It's the senior loan, the senior lender.
That's
so
amazing.
Many EB-5 investors that we've been having conversations with, they love that. But when it comes to the return, this is someone who doesn't care about the financial incentive. It's a traditional 1% annual return, and we're expecting a 4-year completion in sale or refinance timeline. So investors who would want more of that traditional, going to put air quotes here, safer EB-5 investment, Moxie is that opportunity.
Well, that's really amazing. I think this is one of the maybe first story, especially in my life business experience, when EB-5 investor became as a bank, which is amazing. I never heard about this before, and it's really very good in terms of potential risks in EB-5 program. So right now you have two different investment opportunities for potential investors. In one place like Fair Lakes project, you can offer a significant return to potential investors, right? So what is the number?
Correct. When we do our analysis and our own underwriting, this is the main word of today, conservative.
Yeah.
So we've taken a conservative approach. And when we sell this project after 4 years, we're looking at a cap rate of about 5%, which is pretty low. We can do much better than that, but we wanted to not over-promise and under-deliver. And so what we're looking at with Fair Lakes, for an $800,000 investment, if it were to happen today, the project will be completed in around 18 to 20 months. We'll stabilize that project for another 18 months or so, and then market and sell, 4-year total. We're looking at about a return around 50%. So $800,000 investment, and we're anticipating around $400,000 in a return to our investors. So this is above and beyond what the Melby provided. That was a $250,000 return. This is potentially a $400,000 return on this project.
Wow, that's amazing. And after the Melby deal, it sounds very realistic. So I can imagine you can deal with this. That's amazing.
Yeah,
and what about the Moxie deal is another deal that you have right now, which is very secured in terms of potential risk for investments in EB-5, right? So the investors that come to you, they can choose either invest money into the Fair Lakes. I know a few slots still available in this project, or they can go into the Moxie, right?
Correct. Yes. So with Fair Lakes, we have raised from a number of investors. We do have approximately 3 slots available.
Wow.
Maybe 4.
Okay.
So in terms of subscription, we're almost fully subscribed. And I didn't really mention what Fair Lakes is as a project. And what we've done is so LCP acquired the land and these 2 office buildings that are located on that land. And we're going to be gut renovating these office buildings and converting them into multifamily. Rental apartments for the active adult community. These are individuals who are over the age of 55. This is not assisted living. This is for people who want to be around people of their own age group, like-minded individuals. These kind of communities are popping up all over the country. And Fairfax they have a high demand just because of the number of individuals over the age of 55. And it's also very close to Washington, D.C., aging population. And there's considerable wealth. And people don't want to take care of a whole house. They want something a little simpler. Right. They don't want to live next to young individuals who might be a little loud, boisterous. They don't want the young families. They want to be around people who are like them. And they want the convenience of having a doorman and the amenities that you could find in these 2 buildings. And so we're very excited to start construction on this project. In terms of EB-5, we have the I-956F approval.
What does USCIS can you explain?
Sure. I-956F is what the USCIS, they review all our documentation. They look at the business plan. They look at us, the LCP, as the regional center. And they look at all the offering documents, the PPM, the LC agreement, everything. And they have concluded that this fits in line with, it's compliant with the EB-5 industry. So effectively, when someone invests and then submits their first petition to obtain their green card, it's a much smoother and quicker process.
Okay.
Because the government has already approved this project. They don't have to review anything else. All the investor has to do is submit that one page, those few pages of the USCIS decision to approve this project. And Moxie, let me just go back to Fair Lakes. We only needed to wait 5 months for approval. The average timeline is around 12 months. So that's another reason why we're very excited and happy about this, just having the average time for approval. And so Moxie, we submitted the I-956F to the government in September. So going along the Fair Lakes timeline, we can expect January, February for that approval. And going one step further, an individual's I-526E, that's that first petition where they check the source of funds, the U.S. government, they want to make sure it's from a legal source. It cannot be approved if a project doesn't have the I-956F approval.
Okay.
So with Fair Lakes, you don't have to worry about it. With Moxie, by the time you wire the capital, you choose this project, and then you submit your I-526E, and by the time they would approve, we will have many months beforehand, before you have that final decision of having the I-956F approval.
Okay.
So if you apply today, it might take 12 months, 14 months for that approval, and we'll get the I-956F around February of 2025.
Okay, so it makes once you have this approval for the project, I just want to explain for potential investors. So once you have this approval for the project, it means that the timeline for the approval of the actual petition of the investor will be much faster, right?
Yeah, it's just less paperwork. It's less to review on behalf of USCIS, those individuals who are reviewing the investor's petition. So if they see, oh, what's going on with this project? What have they selected? Oh, here's the 1, 2, 3 pages instead of the 500 pages of this project.
Right.
We saw that it's approved. It's just a much simpler process for them.
Okay. Mike, thank you very much for the explanation. Going back to the EB-5 process. So if someone right now, after watching this interview, will decide, oh, I would like to go to this company. So what will be the process exactly? Can you just guide us how the process look like? Like, I would like to invest the money. So what is the next step?
Well, first, we're always available for a call. And if we happen to be in the same location, if you're in New York, very happy to meet. Our office is located just 30 minutes north of Manhattan. I live in Manhattan, so I meet people and potential investors and partners in Manhattan all the time. But first thing would be to send us the subscription booklet. That just lets us know who you are and that you're fully aware of the investment that you're making. And this is something that we will be submitting to the government. You would wire the $800,000 into an escrow bank account. It's a third party. We cannot use those funds until the investor has filed the I-526E petition. Mm-hmm. Again, that's to check the source of funds where that $800,000 came from. After submitting that to the government, the government's going to send you a receipt notice. Then the investor sends us that receipt notice. We send that to the escrow bank, showing that this investor has submitted all their documentation to the government, and now we can use those funds. And then the bank will then release those funds into our bank account, LCPs, to then be used in the construction of whichever project you invest in. We don't need to go through the escrow anymore with the new regulations, but that's just another layer to make our investors feel more comfortable.
Okay.
To know that we're going above and beyond on their behalf. And then after that happens, we're going to be sending you construction updates frequently. We'll be there all along the way.
Okay.
You could check the project site. Let us know if you're going to be right near Washington, D.C. or in Atlanta. We could set up a site visit with the developer team. Again, if you're in New York, we'd love to meet you in person. And going throughout the entire lifetime of your investment, we will be there. And we're going to be transparent. You're going to be able to contact us directly or through potentially Denis. And there won't be any questions. Just be rest assured that A, we're not going anywhere. We've been around for 50 years. And B, we've done this for over a decade in terms of EB-5. And we've seen it all in terms of where investors are coming from, their situation, what they are requesting, what they require. So we're well experienced.
Okay. And what is the usual investment period for the EB-5 money? How long the investor should keep the money into your project?
Well, investors who are going today, tomorrow, 2025, you are fortunate because in April of 2022, the U.S. government passed the Reform and Integrity Act. And this completely changed the sustainment period, how long your money needs to be in an EB-5 project. Before RIA, you had to get to a certain stage in the EB-5 process before we could repay that capital. And if you did not get to that stage, then we were going to, let's say the project was successful, which we've had over a dozen successful projects where the loan has been repaid to us, but we were not legally permitted to return the capital because the money still had to be at risk because these investors in the EB-5 process were not at that point. And so we've had to redeploy capital into another project. So we took money from the MELB. We were able to repay these investors their equity distribution, but we could not repay them their $500,000 EB-5 portion. Yep. And we've had to redeploy that capital into another project. And we inform our investors what project the money's going into and updates on those projects. But after the Reform and Integrity Act, the sustainment period was decreased to 2 years. But if you're going into a construction project, it's unlikely that any project will be able to do so. Yeah. So what we're looking at is more like 4 years. With our two projects, we say we're going to finish this project. We're going to get people to live in this project or to stay in those rooms, the hotel, the Moxie. And then we're going to show the market that this is in demand. And then we'll either sell those projects or refinance. And after 4 years, we'll be able to repay that capital.
Okay. So the usual period of investment in EB-5, we can say, let's say, not less than 4 or 5 years, right?
Correct.
Okay. That's interesting. And another question. I know that many regional centers that deal with EB-5, even if they're very successful, sometimes they face difficulties. The market challenges, their ups and downs, like you said. And I know that some even very famous and big regional centers, they had cases when they lost investors' money in some project. Did you lose any EB-5 investors' money ever?
Coming with the hard-hitting questions, Dennis. Fortunately, we have not.
Okay.
We have not encountered a situation where a project was a complete failure. The only situations we have faced is that the project was not as successful as we were hoping. And so we provided a loan. And let's say it was a 4 or 5 year loan. But these projects, because of cash flow reasons, maybe they weren't able to sell their project, they might have had to extend for another year. But 16 projects, that's only been the case with 2. The others, we've received the loans back and we've redeployed that capital into a like project. But we've never had a project completely go belly up, and we've never had a situation, very fortunately, where we were in a situation where we had to tell our investors, sorry, but your investment capital was lost with this project.
That's amazing. Well, it's a very simple question, but I have to ask it because,
of course,
everybody wants to know the company. They invest the money. These companies really successful. They never had such a situation when they lost the investors' money.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And that's why looking at not only the track record but today's project. Actually do some research. Actually look into it. And the team responsible, not just the regional center or whatever partner the regional center is working with, but what's the experience of this developer? Who has the developer hired to complete this project? And is this even a project that's going to be in demand? What's their exit strategy? So is it going to be constructed? Is it going to be successful in terms of a sale or refinance?
Right.
Those are crucial.
Well, I agree, and it really makes a lot of sense for investors. But another risk in EB-5 program is when the investor still can keep the money, but can lose their green card. So what is the scenario when the investor potentially can lose the green card? Why? What might be the main reason for this?
There have been situations, not sure so recently, but maybe the project wasn't compliant with EB-5. Maybe this project started raising capital and they said, we're compliant, don't worry about it. USCIS is going to approve, which means your green card will be approved, because again, at any point throughout EB-5, the project had to be approved by the government before an investor's green card application could be approved.
Right.
And so there is a situation where the project is successful. It was completed, they were able to sell it, but it was not compliant with the USCIS regulations. So that's one situation. And on the reverse side, people have been able to, like you said, maybe they lost their capital, but they were able to get their green card. The jobs were created. There was one large project in Staten Island where this was an occurrence. Many of those investors were not able to recover that $500,000, but they were able to get their green card because money was expended into the project, jobs were created, And so there were enough jobs to warrant the green card for those investors.
Okay.
Also, I just wanted to get one step farther. There's also the potential for an investment to be made. The project is approved, and with LCP, we have 100% project approval. So every single one of our projects, the government has reviewed the documentation, looked at location, and they said, this fits with our parameters. But the investors themselves might have had that I-526E petition denied because the source of funds, the path of funds from your bank to the project, it was just not clear. Maybe there was some suspicion it wasn't from a legal source. Maybe, who knows? There are so many reasons. That's why it's crucial for every investor to work with the right immigration attorney. Not any immigration attorney. Immigration attorneys who have EB-5 experiences, who understands the nuances, intricacies of this business, and making sure that listening to these immigration attorneys is paramount.
Okay.
You may not want to provide documentation that says, I have this money from this source, but the government's going to ask, this, maybe you have $700,000 that's from one source and the government has no questions about, but what about that other 100,000?
Right.
The government might want to know a little bit more. And so what they're going to do, they're going to send you something called an RFP, a request for evidence.
Evidence, yes.
And they want to see more evidence. Where did this money come from?
Okay.
So you have a chance to show. If you choose not to, you could be denied.
Okay.
And then you will not get your green card.
Okay. Well, that's a very good point because one of my next questions was related to immigration attorney. If the investor that wants to apply for EB-5 program and investor, let's say they said, okay, we love LCP and we want to go to the LCP's EB-5 project, but we don't have an immigration attorney. So can you recommend someone who is experienced and professional enough from your point of view, just to help to investors to go the process?
Every week, almost every day, I'm recommending a short list of immigration attorneys who all have over a decade experience in EB-5 and even more experience outside of EB-5. And these are individuals who have investors from, just like LCP, multiple countries. They've seen every situation in terms of source of funds, where did the money come from? And they all wish people would just say, oh, this is $800,000 just for my salary, for my basic salary. So the paperwork would be so easily shown. But there are other situations. Maybe an investor sold that investment property, which is great. You could show that you sold it. That's where your money's from. Yeah. But then the government's going to want to know, how do you get the funds to buy that property to begin with? So you may have to go back in time in terms of paperwork to prove all of these funds came from a legal source. If your money is gifted to you, where the individual who's gifting you the money, where'd they get that capital from?
Right.
So there could be some extensive paperwork that's necessary. And the names that I recommend, they're patient. They're all willing to have a free consultation just to see if EB-5 is right for you, whether or not the source of funds could be shown to come from a legal source, and they'll work with you for as long as it takes to make sure that the I-526E petition is fully assembled and with minimal chance of being denied.
Okay. Well, that's really cool and sounds really interesting, because I know that many investors, especially if they're outside of US, they simply don't know the professional and experienced immigration attorney to apply who. So if they come to LCP Group, so LCP can help to choose the immigration attorney, right? And you do it for no additional expenses or any kind of payments.
No, make an introduction with immigration attorney. We do that out of goodwill. And any payment that you have to make to that immigration attorney is with them and their law firm, has nothing to do with us.
Okay. That's cool. Mike, another question. I know that you know that we are based in Dubai, and we have a lot of people coming from the Middle East. We have a lot of here investors from Asia. We even right now see a lot of investors coming from Europe as well. For different reasons. Some of them want to get a green card. So many of them would like to invest money into different U.S. commercial real estate to secure the money and get some income. But we also deal with CIS region, which is the former USSR territory. And we have a lot of investors coming from Russia. So taking into account our current political situation, do you accept Russians the investors with Russian passport?
I mentioned this before. Wherever the investor's from, LCP does not discriminate. When it comes to USCIS, depending on political situations, depending on the administration, meaning the president, maybe some countries and citizens from those countries may not be able to go through the EB-5 process at that time. So we've had a number of investors from Russia.
Okay.
And Denis, when we worked together previously, you've been a major and crucial part of that. But as of today, I do not believe it's an issue at all.
Okay. Yeah, well, we recently spoke with immigration attorney, and the immigration attorney also confirmed that there is no restriction for Russian citizens. And what about, there are a lot of investors also coming from Iran. Do you accept investors from Iran?
Today, of course we do. Again, it has to do with the administration and the policies that the president at the time sets forth. So I believe as of today, we have no issue whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
We have an election coming up in November. We'll see what happens come 2025.
What do you think about coming elections? Who is going to win?
It's already been heated. It's been heated. It's the debate, and it's going to be a heated election, meaning there's going to be two polar opposite sides. And it's actually, we're all very eager to see who will, get enough votes, enough electoral votes to become president.
Okay. And by the way, talking about the elections, how do you see the future of United States in coming maybe a couple of years? Because it's also a very important point, because people who want to invest the money, not even with EB-5 as a private equity investors, they want to be sure that everything is going to be very good in the United States, at least in terms of investments. So what do you think will wait US in coming maybe 3 to 5 years?
In terms of EB-5, the current program is slated to potentially end in 2027, but anyone who invests before then will be grandfathered in. It's not like 2027, Q2 begins, and then if it doesn't matter where you are in the process, you're done. But every single time there's been this sunset date, the date when EB-5 may end, it's always been continued. And this has happened a number of times, especially in 2018 and 2019. So we're slated to have that date in 2027. But when it was a Republican president, Democrat president, EB-5 has remained strong. And over $50 billion in EB-5 capital has been raised, mostly over the last 12 years or so. So we don't foresee any type of change when it comes to the EB-5 industry. Okay.
And generally, as an expert in real estate, how you see the real estate market in the United States right now?
Well, with the Fed having lowered interest rates somewhat, that's been positive for the real estate industry. So for a number of years, because interest rates are so high, there was don't want to say there was any kind of crisis, not at all. But there were a number of asset management companies who took loans out a number of years ago when interest rates were very low, and it was maybe a 5-year ARM, adjustable rate mortgage, and they didn't expect interest rates to go so high, and they couldn't afford to keep these properties and not only be profitable, but to even not go further into debt. And so a number of companies weren't able to hold those assets. But whenever there's issues with a certain segment of the industry, other companies come in and they're able to acquire, and things are leveling off now. So, I don't want to say whoever comes in as president will completely alter the course of the real estate landscape. One president for sure will help the situation. The other potential president to be seen, but I don't think in terms of it getting any worse like it was 2 years ago. I don't foresee that happening in the next 3 to 5 years at all.
Okay. Mike, going forward, continuing talking about the real estate investments, I know that I mentioned this at the very beginning of the interview, that you also have private equity investment opportunities in the company. And I just want to briefly mention about this as well, because our office based on the Middle East in Dubai, and Dubai is the hub, is the international hub for international investors in real estate. A lot of people coming from all over the world, and they're looking for different opportunities. Even many local Arab investors really like US market, and they invest a lot of money. So I just want to highlight this side as well of the LCP. Can you please tell us, is there an opportunity for such type of investor who don't want to get a green card, but they want to find a safe bay for their funds and get some good income? You know what I mean? I mean, not maybe more conservative, but still, still good income.
Yeah, LCP has for many, many years worked with individuals, family offices, all over the world, Middle East, East Asia, the Americas. And these individuals and these family offices, they all trust Robert and the team to make wise decisions when it comes to investments. And so we always on a rolling basis have new opportunities, whether that's potentially a fund or a direct investment in the certain asset class. Like I mentioned before, the daycare centers has been proven to be very valuable for LCP and our investors. Short-term holds, we're looking at 12 to 15% IRR, which is a strong, stable return for any type of investment, and it's a reliable, somewhat safe, I would say, type of investment, as opposed to the riskier investments where, of course, the upside is going to be greater, higher risk, higher reward. These are still strong rewards that we offer everyone that we work with who invest with us for relatively risk-averse type of investments. So they have the daycare, potential with golf courses, opportunities in hotels outside of EB-5. There's always a type of investment opportunity that we're looking for capital partners.
Beautiful. And all these projects, the LCP also invests their own money into these projects, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So we're looking for people to join us in these investments. We have this opportunity. We're going to put forth capital, and we're looking for 20% to back us with this equity opportunity.
Nice. That's really good. Well, Mike, thank you very much for this amazing opportunity to talk to you and to introduce your company to a wide public. I believe that such type of companies are really important to show, because it's really amazing. It's really unique opportunities for different type of investors all over the world. And a lot of our investors, they plan to build their legacy for the next generations, and it's very important to deal with a company that has the same long-term strategy. So it's amazing. Well, thank you very much. And at the very beginning of this interview, I would like to ask you, what is your advice to international investors from professional point of view, for investors who are looking for a green card or just wants to invest the money and get the income from this amount of money? So what is your professional advice? How to act, what to do, how to avoid all hidden stones?
Do some homework. Look into who you're working with. LCP, we have a website that we've recently updated. We constantly have interviews, webinars, and we're speaking at different conferences to not only get our name out there, but to find new partners and to find investors and people who are going to be working with for many years down the line. A lot of the partners, like I mentioned before, the retail investors, the family offices and individuals, been working with these teams, these groups, these individuals for decades. And we also have institutional partners that we're working with. So know who you're working with. It's good to, I always, whenever I have an initial call with anybody, make sure that it's a Microsoft Teams call. So even if they don't want to be seen, they can see who I am. I travel frequently for work, constantly in Asia or the Middle East. Hope to see you in Dubai in the near future, and the Americas. So it's not a problem for me to get on a plane to meet with someone face to face to make sure that they're comfortable and know who we are, put a face to a name. And you could see our projects around the country, from the Dream Hotel in California to the Postcard Inn in Florida and a number of daycare centers around the country. We have assets that we have our name on and we're very proud of. So when you're looking for an EB-5 investment or new equity investment opportunity, what have they done before? How long have they been around? And what are the prospects for the future?
Okay. Well, thank you very much for very, very valuable advice. Thank you very much for your time. I know you are very busy. What time is it? Are you in New York right now?
I'm in New York, yes. So it's just after 10:15 in the morning, but my day starts at 6 a.m. So wow. I've been up and getting at it for some time now.
Is it cold in New York right now?
We just got a cold front. It's been a relatively warm October, but yesterday was the first true October that I remember from the 1990s. Got down into around low 50s Fahrenheit. Not sure what that is Celsius, but so it's starting to get there.
Okay, cool. Well, Mike, thank you very much again, and hope to talk to you soon.
Thanks again, Dennis. It's great talking to you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
All right, goodbye.